The greatest and hardest lesson in divorce and custody is how we become a great man after the tragedies that men go through in parental alienation, custody battles with narcissists, and just some of the most horrific things. And for you guys who weren't on the call, or maybe you were on the call and want to recap what we talked about, there's actually a bunch of different topics that I wrote down on this. And I want to go over them, but I want to talk about the most important one that at least I got from this. So it's almost 1 a.m. It's Thursday morning. We wrapped up our Wednesday night call. Starts out as a therapy call, but then moves into all sorts of stuff that in this case goes over divorce and custody, and I took some notes. Here are the topics discussed. Emotional aftermath after Father's Day. Ongoing false accusations and the fear and anxiety that comes in the fear of a next attack. The extreme financial pressures of child support and legal battles. Loneliness and emptiness of being without your children. Parents manipulating children's minds through coaching and lies, fear of mail, texts, gossip, court updates, and basically having PTSD responses due to those things. Rebuilding your identity after betrayal, family, friends, ex-wives. Hope sparked through physical disciplines and different coping mechanisms. Refusal to give up despite suicidal ideation and abandonment. Emotional strength gained through the group's connection. Man, this is a long list. Documenting patterns of neglect and legal misuse. Legal strategies around unsafe parenting, in this case in particular to a child that was left unsupervised, which you would think is illegal, but in the particular state that this gentleman was talking about, it's actually not illegal. And you have to make the argument in a different way. CPS's ineffectiveness and the system that ignores evidence. Therapeutic insight, hate, and resentment are necessary stages in the process of healing. The community and these group calls being a lifeline that has kept, well, at least the man who said this, alive, but many men in our groups say that. So basically what I do on these calls is I'll take notes of what different topics that we hit, and in there, tonight there were 15 different topics in a 2 hour and 15-minute therapy call that we had, and then it kind of moved into a divorce and custody free-for-all, an hour of therapy and then an hour and 10 minutes of other stuff. And within the reoccurring themes of all of this, we're mixing legal stuff, we're mixing how to defend yourself in your court cases, but we're also mixing in how do we mentally get through this? And this is really important. Now, to a ton of people who follow this channel, who follow my TikTok, who follow my YouTube, wherever else you're watching this, sorry, it's 1 a.m. and I'm really tired. Many of you guys can't afford to be a part of my communities, and I want to broadcast a message of what we do and how you could do it without my groups. Because to me, this was one of the great reoccurring themes of the call. You can do this. Any man can do this. If you are being kept from your kids, if you're in a custody battle, if you're being screwed over by the courts, if you have to go in pro se, if you got screwed over by attorneys, and like one of the people on the calls was saying that every single aspect about this screwed his life over almost permanently, that he was terrified of ever taking another step forward back into the legal system. You can do this. He did this. He was able to do it. Now I get it. There's a lot of support from our group. There's 24/7 support. There's therapeutic support. There's also legal assistance that we offer. We have guys who have been in our groups for almost 20 years. I mean, our groups have been around 18 years, and some of the guys from the very start are still in these groups. They can tell you what it's like, what it's been like, and so on. Custody for men is a special process, and it deals with hatred and anger and betrayal and where you've been successful all of your life, but now you're failing. And the fact of the matter is your friends and your family just tell you to move on, get over it, and they don't really understand you. And when you can get people around you that do understand, it's so vitally important that the solution for your legal problems, even when you've been screwed over and over and over again, they are going to come from guys who have been there and done that. The solution to the emotional problems, the betrayal, the hatred, the PTSD, the flashbacks. Now, don't get me wrong, like you probably need outside help from therapists or attorneys or different counsel. But when you have a group of men who have your back and are loyal to you, who understand your process and who've made it out on the other side, and maybe some of them didn't win, maybe some of them didn't get custody of their kids that they want. And believe it or not, it's not just about that. It's about that you can stay alive and be a good father afterwards. And I'll tell you this just from coaching so many guys that have won custody over and over again, is that if you win custody and get all those things that you want, and perhaps, your ex's life completely implodes and it's great and you hit the home run, but you can't be a father, you don't know how to integrate the hatred and pain that comes with an ex, a society, maybe the first time in your life of actually losing something and you've just always been successful and now you're screwed, man, you fail if you cannot integrate that pain and suffering that men so consistently feel in our culture. And although this might not be that clear, but the biggest takeaway of tonight's call is just how much of a lifeline it is to be around other men who've been there and done that. And that some of the guys on the call talk about how they'll watch my videos. And believe me, within my community, I am not the most important piece here. I'm just the spokesperson that is able to facilitate a lot of calls and make a bunch of videos to tell you guys about them. But they were saying that, sometimes they'll just go on YouTube and see me talking and it'll be like, man, I got to get back on those calls. I got to recheck in. I got to realize this is possible. I got to get back in the solution. It's an impossible battle where every single day there's 1,000 reasons to quit. And I got to get with the group of guys that hasn't quit. So if you're watching this video and my groups are something that just don't appeal to you, you can't afford them, whatever the situation is, you're just beaten to the ground by this entire process, I want to tell you can do it. And one of the reasons why I leave some of the long format testimonials up on the Rising Man sales page, and go there and watch them. You don't need to buy it, so that you can watch a guy that might have been in your exact same shoes, that made it out alive, got custody, and became a good man afterwards. And for a video like this, there may not be much of a point to it. It's just kind of a check-in, and I wanted to do it because I was so moved by tonight's call. And you don't need to let this destroy your life. It might feel like that today, and it's felt that way for all of us. But you can come back stronger, and it's not gonna look like this hyper BS superhero image of what a man is, because the modern day hero, at least when it comes to divorce, custody, and fathers fighting for their rights, it's not a pretty picture, but you come out with integrity, morality. You come out with the true life lessons and knowing them, what everybody in this culture is in deficit of. You're gonna have that. You're going to own it. And if you do it right, you're not going to be the guy that needs a hero to define himself, because the hero is the man that fought for his kids and gave it everything he got. So if that's you today and you're out of gas, you can't focus on your case anymore, and you're just being pounded over and over again by the system, you actually have everything that it takes to not just protect yourself legally, do the best for your kids, but to be a great man afterwards. And I don't think we talk about that enough.